It is 3 minutes into the top of the hour. We want to let you know that we are now in session. It is actually the summit o'clock, and we want to say thank you for choosing Rwanda Television and, of course, for being part of this amazing conversation or platform where we actually come alive every Wednesday, 9 p.m., top of the hour. We actually scale the heights to bring you the conversations that actually matter to us right here in Rwanda, but of course also extending across our regional borders. Tonight on the program, it is exactly 29 years or thereof after the Beijing Declaration that promised gender equality. Tonight on the program, a continuation of a series of conversations that we will be having right here around matters gender equality as we celebrate women during this particular Women's Month. Of course, as always, if you're watching me for the first time and if you're seeing this face for the first time, I want to welcome you to this particular program because, as always, they call me Eugene. And Nangwe, thank you so much for making time. I always say this is not actually my show alone, or it's not just a show for us in this particular four walls. It is your program. You can get interactive with us. We are on our social media platforms, the X platform. We are right there. And all you need to do is always add this particular hashtag, the Summit RW. And it will make it so easy for us to be able to track your feedback, including some of the past conversations, some of the past shows that we've had. Of course, you'll be able to see them right here through this particular hashtag, the Summit RW. Please remember to add it and join this particular conversation. As we speak right now, this is definitely what's happening, like you can see on our platform, on the X platform on at RBA Rwanda. We are live right there. Of course, you can get interactive with us over there. We'll be able to sample your views right there. We are also live on the YouTube platform. All you need to do is just run right there and be able to start chatting with us or leave your comment right there. I'll be happy to share your views, of course, with those who are watching us right about now. Tonight on the program, like I said, we are having a very interesting conversation. We're continuing our series on gender equality, particularly looking at women empowerment and also shining a spotlight, especially on women with disabilities, and of course trying to just understand, especially the role of different organizations, institutions, individuals. I promise you a power panel, and we are ready for this conversation. It's an all-women panel. Of course, we want to understand some of the roles and responsibilities, especially from FAWE. Of course, that is what we have right in the studio. Let me introduce our panelists who are joining us right in studio, but also joining us virtually. In studio, we have Antonia Mutoro, who's the National Coordinator of FAWE Rwanda. Thank you so much, Antonia, for making time on this program. All right. Also with us is Wizihiwe Leon Laura, and of course, she is tonight on this program as an alumni of FAWE, but in her daily duties, she's actually the Associate Director, Diversity, Equity and Inclusion and Humanitarian Affairs at Kepler College. Thank you so much for making time.
Pleasure to be.
Also with us here in studio is Dr. Donatil Kanimba, who's the Executive Director of the Rwanda Union of the Blind. Thank you so much, Dr. Donatil, for making time.
It's a pleasure.
Wonderful. And also joining us virtually all the way from Paris. I say Paris. I hope I'm. Oh no! I just had that tone. I think we dropped her, but she'll be joining us any moment from now. Bruce, let me know once we have Honorable Aicha Ba Diallo, who's the chairperson of FAWE Africa. She's happy to join us, and I can't wait to hear her thoughts on the conversation that we're going to be having here tonight. I want to start off with Antonia, just to be able to understand, first of all, when we say FAWE, most of the time, those with their children at the school get excited and say, FAWE, the one where my daughter is. Yeah. Or actually, I would want my daughter to go to FAWE. But I came to realize that these are somehow two different, very separate institutions. Yeah. Talk to us a bit about what FAWE is, why FAWE, and what do you seek to achieve, especially when you talk about equality, 29 years since the Beijing Declaration.
Thank you, Anangwe. Thank you and good evening, viewers. Yeah. Basically, FAWE is Forum for African Women Education, and it's a Pan-African women-led organization. It's a membership organization that participates in 34 countries in Africa, and we are the Rwandan chapter. So FAWE is here to promote girls and women education for development, of course. And we do this through various interventions that I will mention. And so far, the difference that you mentioned between FAWE as an organization, as a chapter, as a secretariat, and the FAWE Girls School is that the FAWE Girls School are part of the flagship programs of FAWE Africa as a whole, and we have centers of excellence. So we have demonstrative centers of excellence for girls' education, and those are the 2 FAWE Girls Schools, precisely owned by government, they're public schools, but we have interventions in them, and they were started by FAWE. So that is the difference. The difference is that they are part of FAWE flagships, and we do demonstrate the model schools for a girls' school, how girls can perform when given conducive environment. And the difference with us as an organization is that we are a non-government organization that actually caters for girls' education. One of them is the Centers of Excellence, but we have many other things that we'll talk about.
We'll talk about on this particular program. Laura, I want to just hear your voice on this particular direction, especially when you're talking about 29 years later since the declaration. I know the people who were in that room left that room energized, powered, vigorated, that finally we're going to do this in terms of gender equality. 29 years later, from an access to education perspective and many other pillars or measurables, have we done much? Have we moved much? Do you feel we need to call for a celebration at the new stadium, Amahoro?
Thank you very much, Anangwe. So from where we were that time, of course the struggle continues, but now it is different from how it was that time. And I would like to say that I have been at FAWE since 1998, and the struggles that we're having at that time, the advocacy that was happening at that time is quite different from what is happening today. Now, people know that girls have right to study, but now we are trying to make sure that they have all they need so that they can be successful in those studies. That time, it was about, can we at least have 10 girls who can go to school? Can we showcase that girls can go to study and be successful? So there are celebrations, but we cannot forget that we still have a journey, we still have things that we have to clarify for the coming generations. Right.
I'll bring you now, Dr. Donatilla. She mentions, yes, there is room to celebrate, but we still have a long way to go. And in one of those areas where we talk about the gaps has been the aspect of inclusivity, particularly even for women and girls with disability. If a woman in their own right and way is excluded, what about those who actually have, are able differently? So let's talk a bit about that journey. Where do you see the gaps? And then now we can move the conversation forward on what we are doing as FAWE or as institutions that are actually working around this issue.
Thank you very much. I like the way that you have recognized the fact that women with disabilities are more likely to be having more and greater challenges, more hurdles to go around, and very often even the women with disabilities themselves have accepted their lot as less than good, and therefore they are not aware of the hurdles. So the gaps are there. We are still having a situation where girls with disabilities are not able to attend school, both as a result of their disability, but also as a result of not being the preferred sex when there is a competition for resources. So she would have been left behind or pushed aside because the resources are not enough just because she is a girl. Now that she is a girl with a disability, nobody wants to waste time on her. So this is still a problem, and we are still struggling to get the women with disabilities into schools, the girls with disabilities, and the women with disabilities, socially we say, on their feet. That is not always the case physically, but okay, to get them on their feet and being able to cater for their own needs and to feel that they are in charge of their own lives.
Interesting, and it's sad at the same time. And this is when I bring in Honorable Aisha Diallo, the chairperson, FAWE Africa. I'm told we have you on the line all the way from France. Honorable, you have served in your life even at higher places, including the Ministry of Education. And, you know, matters inclusivity are dear to your heart, especially education. I know of scenarios where we have parents who have hidden even their children who are able differently from accessing this very important, you know, human right. 29 years, I'm back on that particular question. Have we failed? Is there something that we are not doing right? Where are we not touching? Which button are we not pressing? And how is FAWE trying in its own way to try and fix this particular challenge that we face today?
FAWE is always working towards advocacy to have access to education for all, in particular girls. But you know, you have to address all these issues to communities. You have to work with communities, with teachers, with families. And the most important element to convince is the Ministry of Education. They have to put funds and understand that education for all is for all and not for some.
Yes.
Our colleague just talked about kids with handicaps, living with disability. Or we know that in 1994, FAWE was already constituted. There was this declaration of Salamanca, a meeting which was organized by UNESCO and the government of Spain to say that education should include all children, be they living with a handicap, be they poor, they all have a right to education. And this is what FAWE is fighting for, to ensure that all kids will have access to education, in particular girls. And girls living with a handicap, we really have to identify them in our communities and make sure that they will have access to education. This is the work of FAWE. And we do it through our chapters. And you know that we have 34 chapters. In fact, the most successful, one of the most successful chapters is Rwanda, the Rwanda chapter.
Interesting. I like the fact that you mentioned that this is a work in progress. It's a vision that has to continue. It's a fire that has to continue burning in our stomachs. But you talk about the access to education. Much as we speak about those able differently, we've also had girls who have along the way gotten pregnant, and they've had to be forced to drop out of school. And earlier on before this show, we were talking, and you mentioned how you had to push for access to education for women or girls who have actually gotten pregnant while they were still in school. And this had a lot of backlash then. Talk to us a bit about that, because we still continue to see that, even though in a silent way. How do we ensure that girls who end up getting pregnant and they're still in school do not have a situation where they're seeing this as a death sentence and they can no longer pursue their education dreams and needs?
Remember that I told you, when I was minister, I had to fight against taking these girls out of school because they are pregnant. It's not their fault. You know, the education system has not given them the courses to understand the periods, what they call menstruation, and what will happen to their body. They have to know their body. We didn't do it in the system, education system. The parents neither did not explain to them. So the mistake is to whom? It's the parents in one and the other in this education system. So we have to attune and get them back to school. Yeah. But had to campaign for 2 years for the population to accept that adults and girls pregnant should come back to school. When it happened in Guinea, then the whole FAWE accepted it. We had a meeting in 1992 in Mauritius, inviting all the male ministers to come and listen. It's a waste of money if you put them out of school. Not only the kids will lose, but can you imagine how much money you have been losing by just expelling them? You have invested in them and then you expel them from the school? At the end of the day, they accepted. And today, I think all the countries now in Africa, they all have accepted to bring back pregnant girls. Yeah. It was only Tanzania which was lagging behind, but now they do it also. They have accepted. Right. So all girls that get pregnant come back to school now. Thanks to FAWE, we have been campaigning for it. It's their right to come to school. Right. It's not their fault if they get pregnant. They have not been taught about it, neither at school nor in the families.
Right. Honorable, I'm going to come back to you. Just stay with us on the line. I want to bring back Antonia on this conversation. Antonia, I'm sure it must be music to your ears, hearing that the best performing chapter is actually Rwanda. What is the secret? Sometimes they say there's no secret.
Well, thank you very much. We are always proud to know that, but I think really the secret, the first one is the environment, the political, economic, and the goodwill of the context, where in Rwanda, for instance, we are proud to say that we have the re-entry policy. Even those girls who get pregnant are not barred from going back to school. Right. The policies are there, the practices are there. Yeah, so we are proud to do that. It's because of the environment. I know it happens in many countries where, I mean, girls are shamed and named and they don't go back to school. Yeah. But here, no. Right. It is history. Right. So.
And it's a good thing that that is happening now. Yeah. If we all say that all is good, then we should tell the amazing crew that is here and tell Bruce, the super producer, to switch off the TV. We go home.
No.
Can we talk a bit about where are the gaps? What do we need to fix? Especially what are the difficult hurdles that women continue to face? Probably what FAWE is doing to intervene in those particular areas. This is a question I want each one of you to help me tackle that.
Yeah, thank you, Anyangwe. Despite everything, despite the environment, despite the political will, the policies, the processes, still the negative culture norms prevail, especially with the older generation, where you find that still a girl child is seen as a role model in terms of the gender stereotype, negative norms, where, say, for example, if they have equal opportunity to go to school, they go back home and the girl is supposed to do the chores, the care for the children and all that, while the boy is supposed to be doing homework and all that. I mean, what happens at home is also carried at school. Yeah. I mean, the role that girls take at school are the ones they do at home. So those negative social norms, those practices still prevail. Yeah. And this is why FAWE is there, to actually do advocacy, to put in place, talk with government or talk with other partners to see that we support such practices to be, a thing of the past. One of the things that I want to talk about is that although education is free and for all, especially in Rwanda, we know that there are those hidden costs. So some girls don't go to school because of the hidden costs. Uniforms, maybe other things like, she doesn't have, because of poverty, she cannot be able to, buy things to use for her sanitation and all those kind of things. So we still have things that bar women and girls from participating equally in society, leave alone going to school, because of the norms that are still prevailing.
Right. I'm going to come back, we'll build up on that. But Laura, I want to hear your thoughts. Just building up on what Antonia mentions, let's go to the school environment in this particular case. The negative social norms that continue to prevail years later. How much of an effect or an impact or even the metamorphosis of this, because it keeps changing its face. It's not the same way it was in those days. What are they that you see in our classrooms and you feel we need to flag this so that we can have our young girls in school not being stereotyped, and sometimes people do it knowingly and sometimes unknowingly? What are they? How has that changed in today's generation that we are probably ignoring because we don't really see it as a challenge?
So as Antonia was saying, we have the policies, but when it comes to the community, the teachings at home are still the same. We are still looking at the girls, valuing them with their biological capacities, not like other aspects of life or what they want to become. And that demotivates girls even when it comes to learning. I would say that in the classroom, you'll see the dynamics of how girls are being taught at home. It affects their motivation in the classroom. But also when it gets there, you see like girls who are studying in mixed schools, you see sometimes girls who are outstanding. Sometimes they are called names because, you know, they're not expecting them to be outspoken. They're not expecting them to take leadership roles. And in that sense, they're kind of given some names that are really demotivating them from continue to pursue what they want to pursue. But also those gender roles that happen at home, they follow girls at school. You find out that we still treat them as, you know, daughters at home. If a teacher wants someone to wash the garment, a girl is someone to call quickly, go and wash for me this, go and do this for me. And in that sense, we still see them as, you know, the daughters at home. The things they have to do at home will still continue perpetrating them in the classroom, in the sense that you find out that they are still the girls we value as who are going to be good wives, good mothers. They are mentoring the younger ones in senior ones. They're like starting to do like the motherly roles when they're still at school, while they have to be supported to, you know, from their childhood, adolescence, and so on.
But pause just right, just a second. There's sometimes a dilemma probably for parents who might be torn between deciding, am I pampering my child or am I actually training my child for the realities of the world? And most of them will take the latter. They say, I'm actually teaching her. She needs to actually know how to carry these roles. Let's draw the line on where is it wrong and where are we okay in that particular line?
It becomes wrong when it is one-sided. So to me, I think that when you have children, boys and girls, they have to help each other in the roles at home and be given the same time also to study and to do those kind of intellectual work. Because if a girl is supported to do the housework, like cleaning, all of that, the boy takes, you know, washes the dishes and the girl cleans the house, the time the girl was going to spend on the gender role is going to reduce, and in that end they can, you know, they can work together even when it comes to studying. Without forgetting that most of parents now are teaching their boys to go and study abroad and all of that. If you did not teach them how to do this kind of labor at home, they're going to struggle. So it's not about just advocating for girls, it's looking at what is best for all the children.
Right. I like the fact you bring that particular point of it's actually not just a girls thing. We need to actually also bring in the boys. Dr. Donatella, I want to hear your thoughts tonight on this particular program. What message do you want to demystify a mystery or a myth that people have had about people who are able differently, and actually they are girls, I think, or women, and you mentioned earlier on, they seem to have, or actually the reality is that they actually have more challenges as opposed to others. What do you want the world tonight to hear, because you're speaking to millions? What do we change? What perceptions do you want us to change with immediate effect?
Well, thank you very much. Before I say what I wish to change, I just want to point out that what leaves girls behind in schools a lot of times is these gender roles, the cultural gender roles, and the fact that if anything happens and somebody has to miss school or somebody has to miss going to work, it will be the girl or the woman. So somebody is in hospital, somebody has to visit, it will be the girl. Yeah. And if somebody is ill and somebody has to be in hospital, it will be the woman. So that way we find ourselves still. And the other thing I notice in almost all the offices, the maintenance person who is doing maintenance of computers and machines and equipment will be a boy or a man. The receptionist, the hostess who will be receiving people and offering drinks will be a woman. So we are still practicing what we are trying to get rid of. We are training girls to be caretakers only.
Right.
And the rest of the work be done by men. So we need to change that.
Right.
And then about girls and women with disabilities. Usually, for those who are in families that love them and care about them, they are supposed to sit back and be taken care of. When you are supposed to be a woman who is being trained to look after everybody else, that is a misnomer. Because then you are not being encouraged to do anything. You will grow up with the stigma of thinking that anything you do, you will do it wrong because you are not able. You have a disability. And then another problem is that actually in our culture here in Rwanda, we tend to look at the appearance. It's very important. Now, when you know that there is something the matter with you, there is something that isn't right, everybody will be telling you this, that in Kinyarwanda we say, wihangane. So just persevere. Try and persevere, because they are telling you that you are not okay. And that puts you somewhere on the back foot. It makes you feel that you are not the same as everybody else. Now, okay, the other thing is that education for children with disabilities, not just girls, has not been catered for completely. Our colleague in Paris was telling us about the Salamanca Accord. And they come looking very good. But their implementation becomes a big problem. And governments will not put the resources in place to make sure that they are implemented, to make sure that people benefit from them. So the Salamanca Accord was there by 1994. By 1996, it was difficult for RUB to get blind students into secondary school. We had to struggle and struggle. And when they did, it was impossible to find materials for them. RUB had to do everything, you know, even just buying one ream of paper at a time for them to be able to use. And the ream, it was a question of improvising. Going to look for, we were using the kind of paper used for folders, the light folders, and then we asked a stationery shop to cut it to A4 size for us, for the students to use to write Braille on. And so I can't go into the history of that, but what we need is that when we are talking about mainstreaming education of learners with disabilities, we must think in terms of what is not in place, so that we put it in place and make sure that children can go to school and participate on equal basis.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to girls, you will need to find ways, like you must find some individual way of dealing with each child's disability. So when it comes to adolescent girls, you are going to be needing to help a girl to look after herself during her menstruation, so that she doesn't get embarrassed because she's walking around soiled, so that people don't think, okay, I don't want to sit on the seat that she has been sitting on. If she cannot do it herself, then schools must understand that this child is going to need an assistant who is going to be present. And we must not assume that the child's parents will cover the full cost of this assistance, something that we still haven't got. When you look at the education of learners with visual impairment this time, you will find that none of them is studying STEM subjects. When I got to hear about FAWE, and we tried to attract them to get interested in learners with disabilities, their reason was that they want those who are going to be studying sciences. The blind girls were not studying sciences, so they could not be included. Until today, they are not studying sciences. It's not because none of them can be interested, but the assumption is that they cannot learn or understand sciences, which is not true. The truth is that the materials they need, the resources they need are not available. And the teachers have not been trained to improvise and make it possible for the learners to do STEM subjects. So I think we need to get into what we are proposing to do and do it from the inside.
From the inside, from deep in the heart. I want to bring in Honorable Aisha on this. You know, FAWE cannot do everything, but at least there's a lot that you're doing within the chapters that exist today. And I want to read your thoughts, especially on the aspect of implementation, because we do not lack the ideas, or we do not, we are not in a situation where we do not know what challenges plague us. We already have the idea of what we need to do. And we're also not short of those policies that need to guide us on that. You were once a policymaker within your positions. Where is the gap when it comes to implementation, and probably what is the support that FAWE needs? Because you cannot handle all this on your own. For policymakers listening to us tonight, a decision maker watching us right now, what do you want to tell them, especially on the part of the helping hand that you need as FAWE to be able to implement the beautiful interventions that you have?
You know, the role of FAWE Africa through the national chapters include research mobilization, governance, technical programming support, and coordination of exchange learning across the chapters.
Yeah.
But each chapter will have to mobilize funds within the country, in particular, you know, bringing in the government and the what we call the donors, the technical, how do you say that, partners, financial partners in the country. Because what FAWE does, it's to have a demonstration, for instance, teacher training, which is very important. And then it's a showcase. It is up to the government now to fund the rest. It is not FAWE is an NGO, and our chapters also are NGOs. We don't have enough money. And yet, we need curriculum revision. We need teacher training and professional development. We need community engagement. We need access to resources and facilities. We need policy changes. But who can change the policy? It is the government, right?
Yes.
We need partnership and collaboration. That's where we have to bring all the stakeholders around the education sector and make sure that education system is going to be the most important department in the country.
Yeah.
And we also have to understand that education is an intersectoral department. It's not only education will work in education. It will be the finance, it will be the youth department, it will be the budget, it will be the people, the department that hires teachers, etc., etc. But coming back to what my colleague said, you know, among the challenges and the barriers, we also have lack of confidence or self-belief in girls. We also have, how do I say that? You know, parents have more, they put more attention to the success of boys than girls. For them, the boys have to succeed. The girls, well, if they succeed, okay, otherwise it's not a big deal. We also have a lack of role models, you know, women achievers, because they can also coach the girls. And the parents, you know, when for instance the girls go into STEM, they are afraid if they go far, they will not get married. This is the problem. So it's gender norms that have to change.
Yeah.
And the ingrained gender bias, teachers, you know, teachers, they have on girls taking for science, technology, and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And even the peers, the boys will harass the girls, teachers also. So you have a lot of violence at school, around the school, within the classroom. That's why it's important to really fight against violence.
Right, right. I'm going to come back to you.
Among the barriers, you have early marriage.
Yeah.
Somebody did talk also about the high cost of appropriate intervention.
Right.
So the damaging stereotyping of girls is really terrible. It's hurting girls a lot.
Right.
But all these demonstrations that have been successful in they have talked about it in, you know, teacher training, the GRP, the Tuseme, where the girls have to talk with their peers, boys. Together they find their own solutions and they find their problems and their own solutions. It gives an environment which conducive to learning. There is one thing we didn't talk about. It's having light in the school.
Yeah.
You know, and equipment. Because today we talk about digital literacy. If the school is not equipped, how can they do it? It's very important. There are many things we can talk about.
Yeah, yeah, and I hear you, and I hear you, Honorable. And I wanted us to start talking solutions. Let's now look at the situation we're in, and then now start saying, okay, fine. So here this is where we are, and we're not going to fold our hands and just lie down and die. That's what our head principal used to tell us in high school. So there's something that we must do, or there are solutions or interventions that are already being done to try and at least reduce that particular challenge. So I'm going to come back to you, Honorable, but let me first pick that notion from Antonia. Let's talk solutions. What do we do then, especially on this issue of gender roles, even in our schools? What would be the role of men and boys, and how is FAWE trying to intervene in that space? Because I know of that culture of competition in class. Oh, the girls, the boys have actually defeated the girls. When a girl raises their hand to answer a mathematics or science question, it is the boy who's given the chance. So there's that belief that the boy can do it and not the girl. What is the role of the boys? What is the role of the boy child? What are the interventions that FAWE is doing to ensure that we are not in a competition mode, rather a complementary mode?
Yeah, thank you for that. So basically, FAWE has interventions and approaches that support or help both boys and girls to live up to their potentialities that they deserve. Yeah. So we have, for example, the Tuseme model. Yeah. Tuseme is a Swahili word that means speak out. Yes. This is an approach that girls, both boys and girls use to be able to identify and solve their community problems. I mean, community problems, I mean, within the school, within the community, within where they are. And it's an approach that uses approaches like drama, music, dance, and it doesn't provoke any problems because it's role modeling. So basically, this Tuseme approach has lots of impact because it teaches them to solve problems internally. It teaches them to think and think critically. It teaches them to actually analyze and be able to, negotiate issues and be able to solve problems. Communication skills, self-confidence through debates, through drama and all that kind of thing. Right. And how are the boys relating to girls in this? Because they work together, they see each other as brothers and sisters rather than competitors. Right. And boys actually advocate for girls' support, and girls advocate for boys' support. We have instances where girls have solved boys' problems, where the girls had water in the dormitories and the boys did not have. And so this was solved through the debates and Tuseme clubs. Right. So that one works.
It works in that particular case. Let me pick up Laura, because Laura, as an alumni of FAWE yourself, especially when I hear Honorable Diallo say that there's a challenge of lack of role models. I want to just understand that further and the potential solution to that. What do we need to do? Because I want to believe that they're out there. Probably the challenge is just we haven't exposed them as much. What do you want from me as Eugene Adangwe here on the summit, or media, or others? What are the potential solutions to this in terms of spotlighting those that would be able to be role models for the young girls and women out there?
Well, starting from that, I would like to say that FAWE alumni mostly do mentorship for young girls, especially in the centers of excellences that FAWE Rwanda is working with. Yeah. So we have started to be the role models of those girls, but looking at the number of girls that need mentors and role models, it's a big number of girls that need role models, and FAWE alumni themselves cannot be enough for the entire country. Yeah. And the problems that girls are facing are starting from their very young age. Yeah. And the role models are needed who can understand the context of every girl. We have a lot of numbers of teenage pregnancies. And what I really would like to recommend, you see media, for instance. Media is a power, a power of young people, a power of the generation and young generation. The information passed by, but when you see that there's right and wrong information that passed by. The gender norms are being perpetrated in media. Bullying and harassment, sexual harassment, and all of that also pass through media. Yeah. So if we can have many of the journalists and social media influencers understanding that we are having, it's a collective issue. It's not a girl or a woman's issue. It's a collective issue that we all need to tackle with a big voice and power. Then that can be can bring a big impact. Yeah. Without forgetting also people who cannot have access to media. Yeah. But we need to go into the communities too. We still have parental preferences where they still prefer boys to, outshine. So we need people who teach the community that, girls are shining, girls are doing great work out there. And for instance, at FAWE, the impact, everybody can see the impact FAWE Rwanda has had to girls, to women in Rwanda. And I think that we use real-life examples and the data that we have to make sure that we are making a lot of noise about the issues that we are having here. Right. It could be in media, it could be in schools, it could be in the community. In Umuganda, we attend Umuganda all the time, once in a month. That's a message that people can hear more. I know that in Rwanda, when we want something to be done, Rwandans are people who understand quickly when we have an issue. So if we prioritize the girls' education, girls' well-being, sexual reproductive health, teenage pregnancies, that is being an issue, then I do believe that if we stand together, men and women, I really call upon men. The gender issue is not women's issue. We have more than, I think 51% of women are women. So this is like more than half of the population we have. And this is these are taxpayers, these are teachers. The 49 remaining cannot uplift the entire country alone. We need these women to stand up. We need these women to have safe environment to exhibit what they can do. So we need men to understand that it's not a woman issue, it's not a girl-child issue, it's a collective issue that we need to stand together.
Interesting. I want to hear from you, Dr. Donatilla. Where do we go from here? What are the potential solutions? We've talked about the gender, and cultural norms and the stereotypes. We've talked about the challenges for those with disabled differently. Where do we go from here? What do we do? What proposed solutions would you be having for the country tonight?
Just saying it like this could make it sound very easy. What we need is inclusion, and we need the inclusion to be real and meaningful. That means that we need to solve the problems that are keeping girls and women with disabilities secluded, and we bring them into society. We help them to participate by giving them or making available what they are not able to get. So the kind of support they need to move around, the kind of accommodation that they need, so that they will be able to go wherever they want to go. I'll tell you that a lot of that is being done now. I've just been to a market here in Kigali. I was able to go up to the second floor without stairs. I know that I have gone to that market before and gone up the stairs, but there is also a ramp. That never used to be in Kigali. Everywhere it would be stairs and steps. So there is what is happening, but we want it to be in every area of life, in every sector of life, so that every child will be able to go to school and be able to participate in all activities, including games. Any child who doesn't play is not a happy child. And then to feel normal. To stop feeling like I am different, I am not good enough. And when they come to becoming grown-ups, women in employment, in self-employment, raising their families, we must not forget that today, because of the stigmas and secluding beliefs that we have been having, we have many women with disabilities who are single mothers. And another thing that we haven't mentioned is that when women lose some abilities, their husbands abandon them. So they end up becoming single mothers. And we want these women to be able to bring up their children to be successful men and women, not to depend on them for care. So this is something that we need to do to make sure that these women get the rehabilitation that they need to help them to face life feeling able to stand and face it.
So what you're saying, those able differently do not require pity. They just need to be believed in, and they can be able to do it. We have
They
feedback.
do not require pity, and disability is not inability. They are able to do just about everything they could do, and the help they need is very small.
I love that. I love that. We have feedback coming through thick and fast across our social media platforms. I'm going to read here, and then I'll go on to our YouTube platform where we have some comments right there. I always say it's the shortest 1 hour. We're rushing out of time. We have Cyrus Ngusi, who says that every woman's success should be an inspiration to another. They are more stronger when they cheer each other on. good program, Eugene. The summit is becoming a must-watch. Thank you for this. And this, I'm going to be able to pick this and ask Honorable Aisha. We've had people say that sometimes women are their own enemies. I want you to demystify that, especially picking up from this comment that every success of a woman should be actually a motivation for other women. Let's talk a bit about that. How do we encourage women to actually do women for women, but also calling on allies to come on board as I go to read the feedback on YouTube?
It's amazing. It's men who are saying that women are not solidarity. Mm-hmm. There is solidarity among women. It's not true. It's a false idea. But let me come back to what all the colleagues have said already. I think that for really getting girls' education to be successful and ensuring that men and women are genuine partners, it's to bring all stakeholders to work together. You know, we have to involve learners, teachers, education planners, curriculum developers, publishers, industry, and women leaders. Yeah. We need the partners who are very important to be working together. You have the Ministry of Education. They are responsible for this. We have to work with the curriculum development bodies because we need to take out all stereotypes in the curriculum and in the learning materials. Yeah. We need to work with the funding partners because they have the funds in our countries. Yeah. I'm talking about now the field. Yeah. They can help. If you give them a good project, they will buy it. We need to work with civil society organizations and all allied partners. We need to work with the community because we have to make sure that the community will support girls' education. In fact, we talk about education for all. Why do we focus on girls? It's because that's where the gap is. Then we have to also work with these industries. They use as resources when we finish training them. Therefore, they have to put their hands in the pocket and give some funds for training there. And also, we need the trainers of trainers. You know, teacher training is the key to quality education. And when you have quality education, it is inclusive. Girls will come if the quality is there. Right. And we have to start early.
We have to start early.
If we start early, we put the girl at school early, she will not leave. Yeah. If we support her. So it's important. I wanted to say that. Yeah. But the solidarity among women is not true when they say the enemy of a woman is a woman. No. We are solidarity. In fact, when a woman is successful, we have to praise her. That's why when we had these chapters that were working very well, we did say congratulations.
Right. Well, you still have the microphone. Well, you still have the mic, Honorable.
It is emulation.
Yeah. I wanted just to allow you to just quickly, under a minute or half a minute, to just tell us what's the future like for FAWE moving forward. What are you planning in the next 2-3 years in terms of this journey that you have, and how do we lift off that burden from you as partners, as media, as civil society? What do you need from us as I go over the magic wall to read the feedback?
First of all, we would like the media to really talk about education for all, and in particular, girls' education, in all fields, not only in all domains, even in the domains that only boys are involved. Girls have to be into it. So we need to facilitate access to quality, inclusive education and training opportunities by girls and women across Africa. We need to advocate for the integration of gender-responsive approaches and policies in African education systems. We need to work toward a strong institutional capacity for FAWE to deliver its mandate. And we need to build vibrant research, evidence generation, and knowledge management systems with FAWE networks so as to inform policies and new approaches and set the pace for girls' education agenda in Africa.
Right.
And we really have to make sure that ministries of education, government, will really be involved in scaling up the good programs, the good demonstrations that we have been doing in our different countries. Right. Because they have They are the ones who should do the scaling up, not us.
Right. Thank you so much. I always say it's the shortest 1 hour. When it starts getting sweeter is when they start whispering in my ear and say we need to clear the room for the news. But I want to say thank you so much for everybody for the feedback. We see a lot of feedback here. Richard Amawani says impressive presentation, go FAWE. And then Emily Buyaki says what an insightful discussion. Kudos FAWE Rwanda. Thank you very much for this feedback. I have Jean Christophe who says hello, women have the power to do many things like men. We have many facts in Rwanda, and of course, especially leadership. I think I love this. I see another one from Teresa Omondi who says, powerful advice by Honorable Aicha, FAWE Africa President. I love this. And Teresa Omondi says, very informative. We keep spreading the news for equal opportunity. Listen, we never are able to end the conversation on these four walls. We are just conversation starters, and then we continue having these conversations. We'll never stop, so that we are able to continue dealing with those challenges that continue to stand on our way up that particular summit. We'll be able to see you again next time, same place. Jump onto the social media platforms that keep the conversation going, as we appreciate the work that FAWE is doing. As always, my name is Eugene Anangwe. Thank you very much for being part of the show, and thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Appreciate you so much.
Pleasure.
Thank you very much for making time. Yeah, it's the shortest 1 hour.
I know.